One World Under Doom is the most intriguing event in the Marvel Universe since Chip Zdarsky's Devil's Reign of 2021. The status quo shifting series puts Doctor Doom in his rightful place as the chess grandmaster of Earth 616, examining all possible outcomes, maneuvering all pieces, and cementing his legacy as one of the greatest villains in the Marvel Universe. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this series so far. I'm Brennan for the New Wave Nerds. Subscribe down below for more nerd content and commentary. Now let's roll the intro. One World Under Doom is a 9-issue event written by Ryan North and illustrated by R.B. Silva. Now, as always, we're going to begin with a brief, non-spoiler review. I'm enjoying this so far. It's very, very fun. That's not going to come as a shock to long-time listeners. People who've been around for a while know that I'm a big fan of Doctor Doom. He's one of my favorite villains of all time, and he is undoubtedly one of the greatest Marvel villains ever written. So any story that centers around him is going to get bonus brownie points from me just because he's just a great character. And frankly, if I'm being honest here, I feel like sometimes he is underutilized in the broader universe. But that is besides the point. I think the comic does a great job of writing him so far. I'm really interested to see how his plans are going to evolve moving forward. What is his ultimate end goal here? And how far ahead has Victor Von Doom planned? Now, let's get into the spoiler section and into the meat of the comic. So my favorite part of this story so far, like I mentioned in the outset, is the fact that this sets up Doctor Doom as the chess grandmaster of Earth 616. This is a man who sees all possible outcomes. This is a man who has planned for all of these contingencies. He has bided his time. He has figured out the quote-unquote correct course of action here, and he is following it. He knows all of these heroes so incredibly well. Not just the Fantastic Four, not just Reed Richards and Sue Storm, but all of the heroes in the Marvel Universe. He knows the Avengers. He's had conflicts with all of them. He understands their personality, their goals, their motivations, and their likely courses of action. And he uses that to his benefit. The way that this plays out in the first issue of the series here, Doctor Doom establishes the United Latveria, this one-world government under Doom, and he basically sets along these guidelines. He says there's going to be no more conflict, and naturally all of the heroes are questioning this, and even more so, the villains of the universe are questioning this as well. The main function of this story comes when Baron Zemo, after Doom finishes his global broadcast, hijacks the broadcast himself and announces to the world that they will not be following this. I don't want to use. I don't want to say what they said, but the point of it is that Baron Helmut Zemo of Hydra takes over the airwaves, and he says, "We are not going to follow this man. We are not going to follow a man whose ancestors have no homeland." Right? And Doctor Doom plays into all of this. Like I said, he knows how the Avengers are going to react, and he knows how Hydra is going to react. He has interacted and worked with Baron Zemo before. He understands the ideology. He understands the philosophy. He knows that his reign as Emperor of the world, he knows that the fact that he has been able to take over everything flies in the face of everything that they believe in, right? Hydra is obviously an offshoot from the Nazis of World War II. And as we know, apart from just persecuting and committing evil deeds, we'll leave it as vague as that, against the Jewish population, the Nazis also persecuted the Romani, the Gypsies. Romani, or rather I should say Doctor Doom, is of Romani descent, right? And so the mere fact that he is quote-unquote leading the world flies in the face of Zemo and of Hydra. He knows this ahead of time, and he knows that they are going to march on Latveria to attempt to displace them, or displace him. And what he does is he allows Baron Zemo to come in, and after Baron Zemo breaches the dome that surrounds and protects Latveria, Another broadcast goes out of Zemo and Doctor Doom side by side. Zemo says, "I was wrong. We were wrong. Doom has a plan. Doom is correct. We will follow him." And after this, Doom sends Hydra out to build hospitals, build schools, build roads, general infrastructure things. He says, we are going to use these evil men towards good goals. Now, this doesn't sit well with Captain America specifically. This doesn't sit well with the Avengers more broadly. And so naturally, they are going to investigate. And they go to Latveria and they attempt to break in. They encounter this dome, right? And so the team splits up into two. Anybody who is attempting to, or who has the ability, the potential for an ability to utilize any way to maneuver into Latveria stays there, and the other half go and investigate, or rather attack, this floating Hydra city. When the heroes get to the Hydra city, the base, I don't know. I don't know what the proper term for this giant floating fortress would be. I don't know what they call it in universe, but they get to this Hydra base, the heroes attack, and eventually they learn that the Zemo who appeared on the global broadcast with Doom is not the real Helmut Zemo. It's actually a Doom bot. Zemo has been replaced by Doom with an android. Right. And so the heroes, believing they are doing the right thing, believing that they are spreading the truth and that they are going to use this to dismantle the reign of Doom, they broadcast this out to the world. They reveal that it was not Zemo who was helping Doom, that it was a Doom bot, and that Victor Von Doom killed the real Zemo. They use it as a symbol to exemplify the fact that Doom's reign begins and ends with murder. He is an evil man. He has always been an evil man. He is currently being an evil man. He is using he's using untoward methods to establish his reign. But Doom plans for this. Doom knows these heroes well. He knows what they are going to do. He knows that when they uncover the truth, that they are going to have to broadcast it. And he uses this to his advantage. After the Hydra cells realize that they are not taking orders from Helmut Zemo, but they are actually taking orders from this Romani despot, they obviously rebel. They stop what they're doing and they begin to commit crimes in whatever city they are located. And suddenly Doom appears, riding a T-Rex in Doom armor, which is preposterous, but I love it anyways. Doom he can obviously do wrong. He can do evil, but any creative decision with Doom cannot be wrong because I love that character so much. The Tyrannosaurus Rex in Doom armor is objectively the type of thing that I would hate, and yet I love it so much. It's so Doom. It's great. It's hilarious. In any case, Doom arrives, and he sends out another global broadcast. He says, yes, I lied. I lied to you. I lied to Hydra so that these evil men would be able to actually do something beneficial to society, so that these evil men would do something that the heroes have been unable to do for their entire existence. But the heroes couldn't allow that. And so they dispelled the illusion. And so while he's doing this, I mean, it's an expert piece of propaganda here. He sets the stage for the conflict. He comes in as the savior, and it's perfectly blocked out. I mean, he is saving these people in this city from Hydra agents. There is, in particular, a young woman and her baby whom he saves, and he's giving this speech. He's saying, Doom is power, Doom is mercy. And then on the final page of the comic, it is a view of this young woman and her baby, and the woman says, only Doom can save us. And he sets himself up as this savior figure, and it's incredibly, incredibly well done. Again, it's another thing which showcases the intelligence of Doom, the ability to think multiple steps ahead, the ability to be ahead of the curve. And that's what I think makes a good Doctor Doom story, right? All of the other things are secondary, in my opinion. Like, his advanced technology, the fact that he is the ruler of Latveria, his mastery over the mystical arts, all of that is secondary to his ability to plan and make contingencies. All of it is secondary to that big old brain of his, that big old scarred face. That's the most fundamental aspect of the character, and I think that this comic is doing a really, really good job of that thus far. I mean, granted, like I said, we are only one issue into the main series, so some of my opinion about this comes in from like the tie-in issues, specifically the Fantastic Four and the Thunderbolts Doomstrike tie-in issue. But it's doing a great job of establishing and putting focus on the most important aspect of the Doom character. And that's what I really, really love here. There is another really interesting aspect to Doom's reign and what he mentions in his speech, which is the Pax Victoris, the peace of Victor. And I think that that's really, really cool. I mean, obviously, it's reminiscent of like the Pax Romana or the less official and more colloquial Pax Americana. I love that phrase just in general, and it's an important part of the Western canon. And so I always love when it gets dragged into these comic books. I always love when anything from the classical Western canon, from Western history, is brought into these. I think it adds a certain level of realism and understanding on like a subconscious level, right? It makes sense in a way. And I really, really enjoy that. It's a great line from Victor. All of his speeches are incredibly well written. I'm really enjoying them. And one thing that I really want to bring to light about the Pax Victoris is it Victoris? I don't know. Not important. And this is something that doesn't show up in this first issue of the core series. It shows up in the tie-in issue for Thunderbolts Doomstrike, but this is the Fulgur Victoris. This is Dr. Doom's basically like secret police. This is the people who are going to enforce his law, stamp out rebellions and such. And it's really interesting to me, right? So it plays directly off of the Thunderbolt series that had come out just before this. So in that Thunderbolt series, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but it is a 4-issue miniseries that follows Bucky Barnes and a new Thunderbolts team who are attempting to take out the Red Skull once and for all. And the way that they do that is they essentially sort of manipulate Dr. Doom into committing the final deed, into smashing the final nail in Red Skull's coffin. And in Thunderbolts Doomstrike, which is the new series that is like the Thunderbolts tie-in for One World Under Doom, Doom comes to Bucky Barnes and he says, I want you to lead the Fulgur Victoris. I want you to be the head of this secret police. You've earned this spot. You have helped set the stage for this by making it possible to end the line of Red Skull and subsequently Baron Zemo, marking what is presumably the end of Hydra. And that's really interesting to me. Again, it's sort of also, or let me say instead, that tie-in issue sort of also ties into my, grand or chess grandmaster point. The way that Doom manipulates Bucky Barnes, the way that Doom capitalizes on the actions of Bucky Barnes is just, it's really, really interesting. And it's a further way that he shows he's steps ahead and is continuing to use his big old brain to manipulate the public and to manipulate the heroes into viewing, to manipulate the public into viewing the heroes as enemies and to manipulate the heroes into walking in, committing actions that further his own goal. It's very, very interesting, and I'm really, really liking it so far. I can't wait to see what happens with Dr. Doom here. I do have one fear, and this is a fear that is not relegated specifically to this series, to this event. This is a fear that I have in any line-wide event, whether it's DC or Marvel, whether we're talking Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, or Absolute Power, or Blood Hunt, or One World Under Doom. The fear always is the same. And the worst how do I phrase this? The fear stems from negative experiences that I've had with these comic events. And I suppose, let me phrase it this way. My fear is that some of the most important aspects of the story aren't actually revealed in the core issues of the series, but in the tie-in issues. This is most prominent in my mind because of the recent Absolute Power event. I more or less enjoyed Absolute Power. I think it was fine. It was written by Mark Waid, who's just a great comic book author. He's written some of the greatest comic stories in the past decades. But the series itself was only 4 issues. Only 4 issues, and that's not a lot of time, especially when you come into comics, and especially when it's supposed to be a status quo altering event. I mean, Absolute Power is the event that ushered in the new All-In era, right? And it was only 4 issues, and so because of that, I felt like a lot of the story was revealed, and a lot of the important aspects of the story were revealed in the tie-in issues. So this is going to be a slight spoiler for Absolute Power, which I think came out in October, so it should be long enough. It's available on DC Universe Infinite if you're curious, or you might be able to pick. I don't think they've actually done a trade paperback yet of it. Never mind. But in any case, in the series, towards the end, it gets revealed that Green Arrow, who has been working with Amanda Waller, is actually a secret double agent unbeknownst to him. And this is a reveal that completely shifts what am I trying to say here? Completely turns the tide of the battle. This is the thing which cements the victory for the heroes. And it's really only explored in the tie-in issues, right? And it's a fundamental part of the main series here. And I really dislike when they do that. I mean, the way that I view events, and I don't think this is, a hot take or this is uncommon, but the way that I view events is that tie-in issues are supplemental. They're supplemental. They're not the main part of the story. They add to the story, right? You should be able to get everything that you need to know from the core series, because that's what most people are going to read. I mean, that's what most people are going to read. And don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of going through events issue by issue, according to release date, going through and reading all the tie-in issues. That's the way that I enjoy reading events. But at the time, I didn't have access to the issues. So when it came time to read Absolute Power, I only had the 4 core issues. And so because of that, I felt like I was missing so much. And so that fear is the same one that I have for this, right? I don't want the story to get lost here. I don't want the story to get lost. Now, that fear is somewhat allayed with One World Under Doom because it is a 9-issue series. That's a lot of ground to cover. A lot of story can be told there. But on the other side, because it's a 9-issue core series, that means that there is at least, bare minimum, 50 tie-in issues across various series. And that is a little bit disconcerting to me. How much of the story, how much of the fundamental aspects of the story are going to be explored in these tie-in issues? And especially when you get to some of the tie-in series, like there are multiple series that are they're having their issue number 1 underneath One World Under Doom. Like we have Doom Academy, Superior Avengers, oh man, there's a third one that now I can't remember. It was Doom something. But in any case, I'm not going to be able to find it. But the point is, that's a lot. There's a lot of stories here. There's a lot that are beginning underneath this banner, right? And so my fear is that Doom Division, I found it. Doom Division is the one that I was thinking of. My fear is that some of the story is going to get lost in these tie-in issues. Red Hulk is another one that starts with the first issue underneath the One World Under Doom banner. And I'm really enjoying some of those. Like Doom Academy was all right. I liked Red Hulk a lot more than I thought I would. I'm really excited for Superior Avengers. That one seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. But those are starting under the banner. I'm a little nervous that the story's going to get lost. And I really don't want to, because so far, like I said in the outset, this is shaping up to be one of the most interesting events in recent years for me. I think I'm really going to enjoy it. I'm enjoying it so far, and I would hate for them to squander that just because of weird publishing things. But I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to see what Doctor Doom is going to do here. I'm excited to see what his plans are, how they're going to evolve. I'm excited to see how many steps ahead he is. I'm excited to see how the heroes are going to react to this and how the world is going to change after the reign of Doom ends. I think there's a lot of really, really interesting things that we're playing with here, and I think it's very well written. If you haven't picked it up, I can't recommend it enough. I think it's going to mean a lot of things in the broader Marvel continuity. So let's see. The second issue is going to be released March 19th, which is the day before this video goes live. And the third issue is going to be released on April 23rd. So let's see, what do we got coming up in the New Wave Nerds? On Tuesday, we are going to be back here to take a look at Venom: The Last Dance, the final installment in the Venom trilogy, and hopefully the final movie from the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel movies. I hope. Or at the very least, if they continue, I hope that they actually make a good one, because that would be pretty cool too. But in any case, that's going to be on Tuesday. Thursday, we're going to be back here taking a look at the 8-issue miniseries from Jason Aaron about Namor. Now, I had a lot of fun with this. I just read the last issue a couple days ago, and it's definitely worth the read. It's certainly an interesting take on the character, and I think it's very fun. It's a good look at the Atlantean world. And Jason Aaron, he doesn't really miss. I mean, he's great. I mean, I'm loving Absolute Superman so far. His Thor run is absolutely iconic. Just a great writer all around. And fun fact, Jason Aaron is going to be at Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City this weekend, which, let's see, on the day that this video goes live, Shade and I will be on the road to Kansas City to check out the Comic-Con. We will be vlogging that trip and hopefully getting that video uploaded shortly after we get back. So make sure that you stick around for that and you subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss any of our reviews or the vlog. And I will see you guys on Tuesday.